Live streaming. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Brandon K Show. I am your host, as always, Brandon K. This is a real show.
It's a real show. I'm Patrick K. Happy to be here. I just did a million burpees and I was in a shower and I have long hair and so I'm draped. I didn't realize that my hair was dripping all down.
So it's not from
water.
Sweat. It's not sweat, yeah.
No, not necessarily sweat, but it's great to be here talking about rejection.
Today's topic is dealing with dealing with rejection.
Let's just start over live to tape.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. You can't start over. Live already.
This is our first live stream here with Patrick. This isn't Patrick's first live stream. Patrick live streams all the time for his themed entertainment TV on YouTube.
I do. I do live stream all the time. It's fun. It's great to be here. I introduced you to StreamYard, the software we're working. I might need to change my shirt. I just can't take myself this just water stain. Can you jump some water on your shirt so I feel the liquid death. Don't do it. I got it spinning in now or later or some point in time. Check out this dealing with week has been quite spectacular. I really appreciate it. Yesterday's episode was really cool. And in fact, I want to create a quick little story here so people know that we're going live. This is live. Hey everybody, I'm live on the Brandon K Show. Tune in right now. Follow that link. We're going live talking about rejection. All right, so I'm really getting in those plugs because we're building an audience, Brandon.
Hey, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, dealing with obsession and dealing with a rejection, those go hand in hand in my life.
I mean, I gotta say, I watched I got pretty far into the obsession episode. I ran out of time.
The obsession.
But it was. I think there were a lot of interesting themes. You talked about a lot. You guys talked about a lot of different things, which is interesting. So, great show. Check it out yesterday. I mean, dealing with week, and we're almost to the end of March, Brandon. I mean, how do you feel about coming to the end of March?
There's so many ideas that I still have just gonna overflow into April, and I'm just gonna be every day in April. I'm
doing it every day in April, folks. You heard it here first. Cool.
Yeah, I got all these ideas backed up. They all have to come out. So yeah, we're just.
Can I challenge you to do burpees every day in April with me, or is that just gone?
It's a podcast, but the burpees are a lot harder.
Yeah, I know. And I'm sure you'll be in the future episode. We're going to touch on those a little bit.
Very soon.
Let's go ahead and let's dive in.
We're going to have you live in the studio next week.
I'm excited to be back in the studio with you
for our desire to inspire episode.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a great episode. Can't wait to do it with you in studio.
Yes.
So, but I do also just enjoy these StreamYards too. They're solid. They're good too.
I'm glad someone's enjoying them. That means a lot to me.
Absolutely. I mean,
it touches on my first time making videos every day in March in 2012, and it's like when the views are down, you get that feeling of rejection. Should I even be doing this? Does anyone even care? But I've fought through it. I've fought through it so much where I'm like, I see that people are supportive. I see that things take a long time to build, but it's kind of, and it touches on, you can either keep that rejection and take it personally, or you can, change your perspective and get a better attitude. So I brought you on the show because you have a really great attitude on rejection. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll just say to that, make sure you're marketing it. Every day you're marketing on all your social media channels, X, TikTok. I know you have a huge following on TikTok, so it's one thing to post, it's another to just post into the ether. So I wouldn't beat yourself up. You're building a catalog, and also you got to be where people are. So maybe consider getting getting I can set you up with a podcast system so you can also like beam these out on podcasts, because like I'm sitting on my walk like with my YouTube sitting on my stroller and I'm on a walk, and it's sometimes easier for people to listen to things too.
Oh
So
yeah, I got the first 3 episodes posted on Buzzsprout. I'm posting them one at a time. Not even. I'm gonna post them all in a group, but yeah, I'm posting them through a site, and they're all gonna be available on audio soon. The first 3 episodes are available now.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. But available now in stores. So yeah, those rejection feelings. It's you put your heart into these things, but it's like imagine if you're just sitting there. We were in a room right now, and knowing that 8 people were listening to what we were talking about. That's something. That's significant. Even if they were just in there for 4 minutes, and even just us talking about it is good.
I'm just happy that I used to come on your podcast and it felt good, and I'm happy to have you on my podcast.
Yeah. Well, why don't we dive in?
We're diving in. So, question is just make it real simple. Patrick, how do you deal with the rejection?
I don't get rejected. No, it's a good question, and I
your background says different.
Rejected. I've done a lot of thinking about this, and like I said, it was 24 hours ago when you said that, can you do this show? I don't remember how long it was. And I think that it starts with an abundance mindset. And so, you're gonna to do anything in the world that's worth meaning, you're gonna get rejected. I like to. A lot of people think maybe relationships or girls or boys, but I think just in general, rejection is a very normal thing, and it has to do with how are you building up your self-esteem, and that out. The reason why yesterday I touched on a lot of things is what other people think of me is none of my business, right? You quoted that, or there's some version of that.
Yeah.
And so I think with dealing with the rejection is to realize that it's hard, but the next thing, you have to go through so many different no's to get to a yes. And I'm not talking about bothering the same woman for 5 years. We're not talking about that. Like that's I always have to take it there.
Yes.
But for example, doing anything worth doing, you're going to have to talk to a lot of people. You're going to have to pitch to a lot of people. You're doing sales. I'm sure you've asked a lot of people to come on your podcast, and I'm sure a lot of people have said, no, that's not my thing.
Yeah.
And, you don't want to take it personally. Or for me, I have a nonprofit. I'm asking people for money and getting the rejected. And I think the biggest part about it is to try to think about it 360 on what are driving other people's intentions, and realizing that it's not necessarily personal, even though it may feel like it is personal, and to use that to refine and to go down the line to not get rejected and to get the yes, which is very important, to get through life. And you will get there. I mean, I know a lot of people have, applied to a lot of jobs. I know I applied to a lot of jobs. You get rejected, you apply.
And, I could break it down into categories. You have jobs, you have relationships, you have friendships. But like, yes, when you get rejected from a job, it's not personal. It's like maybe you just weren't the best candidate for the job. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a number.
Not that they don't like you or, I mean, it's only personal in the way that someone else was more qualified than you.
Yeah. And I think that, so yeah, job wise, it's qualified. It was a different culture ad or a culture fit. They were needing something in the moment. And when it comes to just in general, I've interviewed with like at events with 12 different companies and never didn't get jobs or didn't get work from it. You know what I mean? So, I think that it comes down to is you're going to just constantly have to outlive and outlast people, and persevere. When it comes to more personally, and I think it's just in general, the mindset that I think is important is that I think that and you may know more about this, people have like the spotlight syndrome, where can you hear the kids screaming in the background, Pat?
We'll just
I can fix that. Hold on, is it better now?
Turn down your gain.
Is it? Yeah. Did that help?
I think so.
Okay. All right. I'll talk closer to the max. And so with that, spotlight syndrome or whatever is that you're constantly thinking about yourself nonstop, and you think that everyone's thinking about you nonstop. Nobody's thinking about you. Now, I mean, 99% of the time, nobody in this world is thinking about you. Maybe if you have a partner or a boyfriend or girlfriend, it's a little bit different. But just normally, people are thinking about themselves and the problems that they're facing and all that. And they're not just thinking ill will towards you constantly. And I think that everyone...
I have a quote about this. If you realized how little people thought about you, what's the rest of it? You wouldn't care what people thought about you if you realized how little they do.
Yeah, that's that. I think that's a big important thing to do. And then can I cuss on the show, or do you like to keep it clean?
Today,
so, and then another phrase that I like, and close your ears if you have the children, but you either want to fuck me or you got to fuck off. Is there something that's like a little bit more like, and that means a lot of things, meaning you either want to be my partner, you want to work with me, you want to do stuff with me, or you don't, and then that's fine. I don't care. That's it. You're laughing over there. What?
No, it's funny. I mean, you could relate that. I mean, that relates very much to going out and attracting a partner, but like,
yeah, I think everything.
Just use that same phrase because I wanted to attach it to like sales as well, which is you're going out there and you're going out to people individually. Like, would you like to buy this? I don't know if you do that, but I mean, I'm doing that at the swap meet, and you were out there at markets, selling stuff, and then it's like individually for each person, and it's like, are you interested or are you not interested? And you're gonna have to do it 100, 200, 500 times so you get 5 sales. So.
Yeah, and I don't even really think of the terms of women anymore. I'm in, been in a relationship for 10 years and all that, and have a wife and kids. But so I think that in order to accomplish things that you want in life, you need to find...
We'd have to change it to fuck with me or fuck off. Kind of like...
Okay, yeah, because there's like a whole... Sorry, hold on, like jerking around here. There's like a slang now about like people saying, oh, I like to fuck with them. Like, it just means like, it's like a thing that's what it is. It's like, hey, you want to do stuff or you're not, or that's okay. And, I think that it's not, I think it's like it's a self-esteem thing, meaning I'm comfortable with who I am and I'm being authentic to who I am.
Yes.
That's going to attract, your vibe attracts your tribe. And if you don't want to be a part of this, that's fine, and I've I don't know. I just get I have like these random little stories of, sometimes women who are just, like, oh, they're put off by me. It's like, okay, I don't care. Like, that's fine. Do what you're going to do. I could dance, I don't know.
Well, I mean, for myself, and I wanted to touch on, the feelings of rejection, which are important, like the whole discussion of the feelings of rejection. But yeah, like, it doesn't even have to be a woman or a man. It's like, not everybody's going to like us. And some people are gonna, they're gonna think we're bad, or they're gonna be jealous of us, or they're gonna, not like something we said, or not like our politics. There's so many reasons why somebody could not like you. So I mean, it applies to men and women, and
well, and I think that I've in my industry I've solidified. Well, theme park industry, I do multiple things, but starting a nonprofit. I definitely was very out in public with my feelings about, inclusion and fostering inclusive environments. That's become politically divisive. And, I have to, ponder, oh, did this affect my career? Has it affected my career positively, negatively, and all that? And then it's like, I've been pretty political my whole life. Excuse me. And, then but certainly at the end of the day, it's like, well, I want to attract people that want to be a part of the mission. And if you have the audacity to be yourself, if I sat there and thought, how's this going to work out? Then you never do anything, you have the analysis paralysis. And I, during the obsession yesterday, you talked about interesting topics of like, when I say F off, it's not like I'm being rude. It's just, that's okay. It's fine. There's 8 billion people on planet Earth, or there's a lot of people, like, that's okay if it's not going to work out. Dealing with rejection, though, you can be rejected by, I'm sure we felt rejection from one another, us as, close family friends, your spouse, your partner, I feel rejected when, you can look in some of our group chats and it's just a train of me posting memes and TikToks and Instagrams, and nobody responds. Like, and I feel like, well, what am I even doing in this group chat? You know what I mean? So there's all these thoughts that you can have, and then you have to realize that, well, not everyone communicates like you, or not everyone's looking for that positive reinforcement and all that. But you feel those, you feel that too, on the personal side, even every moment of every day. I think it's
my advice that I probably said on this show a few times.
Stop posting so many
is from
TikToks.
is from Tony Robbins, and it's what else can this mean?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of jumping to the idea that like I sent something and it got ignored, instead of thinking like instead of taking that personally, just thinking, oh, maybe he was busy. He's got 2 kids and he's doing his own thing,
Yeah, I mean, and I think that
he'll get back to it when he gets the chance. But like, and even for myself, like, it's like crippling anxiety all throughout the day,
sure.
So sometimes it's harder to respond, or you think you're going to respond later, but like also, like, maybe they want to give you a good response and then they just don't get around
to it. Not everyone needs to like a meme, but no, I mean, I
mean, anything. It could be a text, like if you had a text ignored or a call ignored, it's just like, it's always that advice applies to anything. And doesn't mean we worked through that in our relationship, because I had many years where you were calling me all the time and I appreciated it, but I wasn't returning the calls, and then it's like, I still love you and I still care.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, for sure.
And get together and always be friends when we're together, and so it's and so it's just not, it's not always personal. If I'm deep in my alcoholism or deep in my anxiety, it's like, it's not always personal.
Well, another thing that's in that line is, what else could it be, is to assume positive intent.
Mm-hmm.
So there was when I was at Nickelodeon and Paramount, my boss had like a thing that just said assume positive intent on, like, so when you get an email or you get a communication from someone that looks like, it's a shitty or it feels bad, try to think of, is this person really doing that, or or what are they thinking, and try to take it in the most positive way possible. And that's been helpful a lot, in trying not to get into the mind frame of negativity and anxiety, and then also just like taking so much time to like write a response to that. Have you seen the Key and Peele sketch where like they're sitting there like, oh, hey, do you want to go to the bar right now? Or like, oh, we can go outside. And it's like,
he wants to take me outside.
Yeah, he wants to take you outside.
Yeah.
And he's like, sure, whatever works, man. And then he's like, sure, whatever. Yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of like an interesting thing about communication these days, of like, there's no tone in emails or in text messages, and that those kind of miscommunications can be misconstrued. And also, some people, this happens to me all the time, where someone sent me an email and I didn't look, or a text and I didn't look, and I go back and I'm like, oh, sorry, I didn't do that. I didn't check that note out. And there's nothing personal about that. That was meant to be transpiring there,
No, I mean, it has to happen all the time. It happens to me. I do it to others. Like, it has to be happening all the time. And
yeah,
I would say, like, I forgot what I was gonna say. Go on.
No, I mean, I was going to you for guidance on the next topic, next interesting thought about this.
Yeah. So no, I guess I was gonna say that I hope that there's more understanding of that. Like, I see memes of like people say like about anxiety and about understanding each other and not taking things personally. I think like the more we understand that as a society, the less people will take it personally. Because I also say, I always have the choice. I always have the choice to get upset or to let it go and and assume positive intent, like you said.
Well, and it's interesting. I think that, and I kind of look to like going deep and down, and like, what has changed so much where we may feel more rejection more than ever, and it might be just the fact that we have instant communication with people nonstop all day long if we want to, versus 20 years ago we didn't even we had a snake phone that could barely text anything, and
it's
now
I think it's a real problem. I mean, I think just the idea that we can connect every single second of every single day, that could take up your whole life, and then your whole life is just communicating, and it's tough. It's you know.
Well, and I think it's about having healthy boundaries, and it's the same thing of like, people go on Instagram and they see people just having fun all the time, and then they feel bad about their own life, and it's like, okay, well, those are that's the highlight reel. That's not. They're not. They're posting eating a dinner. They're not posting that they had to go to work all day or sit on a plane all day and were bored out of their mind, or or doing whatever.
Yeah, I just had a weird, because I have these thoughts all the time of like, oh, am I hurting people's feelings or whatever? So I just jumped on someone's live, and then I was like, oh, I'm in the live now. That now they're gonna see me leave the live, and they could like take that as rejection. But it's like, so I just sent a couple hearts and said, hey, I got to go do my podcast. But it's like, even that is like, even if you go in someone's live or go in a group chat and they see that you've seen it, now we have the text. They've seen it. So then it's like, why didn't they respond? They've seen it. And it's like, you're almost like bullied into responding in a way.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you this, like my dad does not respond to text messages, and I'll be sending pertinent information of like, hey, I'm meeting you at the Epcot in 20 minutes or whatever. Just no response. So there's probably something, there's a balance there. But at least you've read it, and you don't need, but I will say you can always like a message or respond with something. And I think those are very healthy tools.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not here to say we should be ignoring each other and
well, I meant the royal you, not you specifically.
No. I mean, I also mean the royal you, which is like, I don't condone ignoring each other. It's like, but just, I know that I'm just saying for myself, I ignore other people, I get ignored, and I try not to take it personally.
Yeah, interesting. Well, and it's kind of like, where are your priorities? And sometimes the text messages is meant to be non-urgent as well. It's meant for people to kind of get information as they need be, and not to like, I'm not going to call you about something that we could just chat over text over a little bit of time, right? So there's also non-urgency there. But it definitely seems like people are feeling, I mean, it's interesting. Maybe I'm kind of in an echo chamber because I've just been watching your show every day and hearing everyone, kind of not struggling, but talking about different feelings and all that.
I want to bring on many perspectives and hear all the different views,
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Well, I was going to ask you what's, you were talking more about this yesterday. I think it was yesterday's show, right? You were talking about obsession.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes I can't see the order of it. It popped up. Yesterday, check out the show. You were talking about, you kind of lived where sometimes you even didn't get the rejection. You were too worried about the rejection. And I think that like that, if we could talk about that a little bit, everyone's kind of sat there. It's so hard and it's so easy to say. And sometimes it's, you're sitting at a place and you want to talk to somebody that's not really going more into relationships and, trying to meet a partner or for the night or for whatever.
I can apply it to my anxiety about jobs and my anxiety about posting content as well, is that you can sit there, like, I think you said analysis paralysis already, but like, you can sit there and just be so frozen, and that boils down to a fear of rejection at the end. Because it's like, oh, if I put myself out, this is going to happen. So if you have a brain that overthinks and projects into the future and projects negative outcomes into the future, you already start rejecting yourself before you even make a choice,
Yeah, I mean, and my question for you is, what's going in your head during that like content wise? I mean, content's content. It's good to have content. The more the merrier. The more you have. Sometimes and I know you said earlier, sometimes it's hitting, sometimes it's not, or you look at the numbers and it's like, you never know what may take off, and you never know what may be interesting to people, and that's okay. That's how you find out.
Oh yeah, well, those thoughts of whether something's popular or not anymore aren't what bothered me. I was more relating it to that's something I broke through. So like in 2012, that led to me just being like, oh, nobody cares anyways, I'm not going to post. And now I'm just like, I'm going to post no matter what because I like posting.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then what was the other part of the question?
Well, I mean, I think it was talking about what's going on in your head about social media where you wouldn't post, and you said feeling rejected, and it's more about people thinking negatively about it, and
yeah. Well, rejection, like you said, it comes down to like self-esteem and confidence.
And I gotta be honest, to hear you say that after watching almost all your TikToks, I mean, what are you leaving on the cutting room floor? I mean, you're pretty raw on those, but it's pretty fun. So
Yeah. Oh well, I've learned to break through it, but funny enough, like you've seen me do all kinds of stunts and say all kinds of
yeah,
crazy things and all kinds of videos, and you've seen a lot of my life. But it's like even so, this brain will always tell me like, oh, you're doing a bad job, or like something bad's gonna happen, and it's like just
yeah,
these thoughts I have to fight through, and I can't say everybody fights the same thoughts, but if anybody out there has a negative voice that like I'll relate it to body dysmorphia, which is like you take a picture of yourself and you think it looks horrible, but then you look back at it in a year and you're like, oh, I look great. I actually like what
yeah,
I look like. And like that's how I live my life. It's like in the moment I like hate myself. I
yeah,
hate what I look like. I hate what I sound like. I'm focusing on this bad aspect of the show, this bad thing I said, and then it's like you go back and watch it, and even the next day or a week from now, and it's like, oh, I did a great job.
yeah. Well, and I think that like okay, so there's a couple things that I think are great about this. It's progress, not perfection. You know, progress, and you are doing something. Hey, Ainsley, watching live on YouTube. You know what you're, what you're there's a joy in the journey, and I think a lot of time, you know, you look back or you look forward for the next thing, but you don't give time to enjoy the moment that you're in. You know what I mean, Brandon?
I know exactly what you mean, and and Basic Butch here agrees. The negative Nancy is always talking in my head. I like that, the negative Nancy, which is
Mm.
I've said on the show, automatic negative thoughts, ants, too many ants
Mm-hmm.
on a picnic,
Mm-hmm.
and it's they're not real. So I've just learned
Yeah.
over time to break through the
Is
illusion.
there any treatment for that or anything, or that's your life, just constant negativity? I
Well, I did
mean,
a
I
whole
don't know.
episode on
I mean, I mean that. I don't. I'm not trying to be. I'm not a joke.
did a whole episode on conscious reprogramming and
Yeah,
mindfulness. I do a lot of shows on mindfulness.
I've watched it.
Yeah, that means like negative thought comes in, I have to literally reprogramming it in the moment, and that's more energy than someone who doesn't have the negative thought to begin with. But they slow down over time. I'm gonna even do. I'm very honest about this stuff I told you about. Like my next episode, if I get the guy on, is gonna be about suicidal thoughts. So it's like I have suicidal thoughts daily,
Hmm.
and it's I can work on them and say I can practice gratitude and practice positivity, but it's just they're automatic. Like and
Hmm.
obsessive thoughts, suicidal thoughts, negative thoughts. It's the voice in my head. It's an illusion,
Yeah.
but some people would say you should get medicated.
Well, I
Um,
don't know.
yeah, I choose. I mean, a lot of people are medicated and it helps them. I'm not medicated at the moment, so I mean that's something that people do. Conscious reprogramming and mindfulness, I think, is my path,
Yeah.
and focusing on the positive. Exercise can help depression. Good diet can help depression
So like what? Okay. So I have a question for you.
and negative
Oh,
thoughts.
sorry. So
Yeah,
let's, you're going, walk me through like you're going to the grocery store to buy some groceries, and then you go get a burger at McDonald's and you get like a drink at 7-Eleven. On that journey, are you having constant anxiety and feeling fears of rejection, or are you just kind of living your life? Like how deep rooted is this? Because you say constantly and things like that.
yeah. I have a disorder called schizoaffective disorder. It's like scattered thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
and it's coupled with a mood disorder. So, for that reason, my thoughts and emotions are kind of all over the place throughout the day.
Got it. So,
So like I'll talk
sorry.
about
So if you go, so you don't,
I'll talk
are you even in the moment? Are you in the?
I'll talk about the suicidal thoughts. Like you can be having a great time, and in with somebody you care about, and then still a bad wave of emotion or a bad thought could pop in, and
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a troubling disorder.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm glad you're, doing you working your program about it. And you went to outpatient for it, or was that something separate, or kind of all part of
Yep.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, I went to outpatient. That's where I got diagnosed with it, and then I got medicated, and then over the pandemic, I just learned more about mindfulness,
Yeah.
and and I was like, the medication was making me more lazy and gaining more weight, and there's side effects of medication, and takes a long time to get on the right one, and but during the pandemic, I didn't have any real responsibilities, and I felt some of the stress lifting.
Hmm.
That's a lot of what the healing is too, is just the nervous system and the trauma needs to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
more the stress and trauma heals, the less I'm symptomatic. And
Mm.
symptomatic is what I described just now about
When,
about
yeah.
the roller coaster highs and the thoughts. I'm less symptomatic when there's less stress.
What's like your perfect case scenario? Like if I said, do you want to be like sitting on a beach, chilling there in a jacuzzi? Like, where is your most de-stressed experience that you could create?
I like being creative, and it would be cool to be creative in like my own place with a pool, and like
Mhm.
just like have enough money, and have enough like have my own studio, and be able to create whatever I need to create. Like that'd be a very I mean that'd be my own choice of stress, but yeah. Um yeah, post, trying to make things easier, but I don't think that there's really is any secret like perfect scenario. I think like life is
Mhm.
gonna happen, and we have to learn how to live on life's terms.
Yeah. So, I mean, going back or not going back, but maybe kind of evolving. When have you felt most rejected, and or how do no, when was the most you felt rejected? Like you really felt rejected. One of them doesn't have to be the main one. I mean, if it's like
I had
dramatic,
a
but
funny story from our childhood
okay, let's
where
hear it.
where
Funny story.
Alan,
Ainsley and I were just talking, and they have one that was not fair. Yeah, just horrible trauma.
Alan and Patrick, they were kind of, because me and my cousin Ainsley, who's on the chat now, and Alan and Patrick, Alan was on the show. Alan and Patrick got together one day, and they decided that they were in the cool kids club because they could abbreviate their names to Al and
Mm.
Pat. This is ridiculous. This is a ridiculous rejection to have in my brain.
No, it's
But
real.
then Ainsley and I were on the side, and we were like, and she was like consoling me. It's like, no, you can still abbreviate your name. I could be Ains and you could be Brand.
Nice.
It's just it's just that was just like a little small rejection, but I used to get like constantly bullied in school,
Yeah.
it was I was always felt like everything I did was wrong, like at
Yeah.
school and at home, and then yeah, just um I mean, you go down my life history, but yeah, I missed a lot of school, and then
Yeah.
um it's kind of like if I'm missing school, and then I'm changing schools, and then my teachers are blaming me for my performance and not being
Yeah.
compassionate, it's kind of like that was a lot of rejection to live with.
Yeah. No,
It's like
yeah.
felt like a failure and a fuck up wherever I went.
Have you ever like really documented your life story? Like, 'cause I know you have like almost like a photogenic memory. Like, you know all these things. Like,
I have a memoir of the first 25
yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah. It's it. Well, it's interesting because you know, w- Frank was talking in the yesterday's episode about there's like a lot of psychology about parents and trying to please adults and all that, and then I think that when it comes to fear of rejection and dealing with rejection, to me, I think it's about being comfortable with who you are, and when who you are being developed has a lot to do with your childhood upbringing. Some people are dealt shit sandwiches or sandos, as a Vegas Matt would say, and others are in a very supportive environment. What are you laughing?
Vegas Matt, the guy who does slots.
Yeah, I love that guy.
He loses and calls it a shit sandwich.
Yeah, well, yeah. If
it's just funny. I was just like,
yeah, it's a sando.
Okay, go forward. Sorry.
Yeah. So, and I think
he abbreviated to Sando.
Sando, yeah. I have a shirt that says Sando. It's great. I love it. It's great. And then he'll say it was Sandy Sandalorian. He has a whole. You got to watch Vegas Matt. Totally separate. It's good vibes. He's actually from he worked for Tony Robbins, so he's kind of been on the self-help guru. He's done a bunch of guru stuff, which is interesting. Which I think is why he's so charismatic and part of it. In regards to rejection, what's the opposite of rejection?
Well,
attraction.
Being an attractive person. Oh, I see. Like as far as scientifically, yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm kind of work with me here. So if what I always look at is, are you being the person that you want to be? And I'm going to adjust my gain here a little bit. Okay. Are you being the person that you want to be? And if you didn't get your self-esteem built up as a child, and your connection to self-worth is connected to all sorts of wacky doodle things, then you have to reprogram your head into thinking, okay, well, what does make a good person? And I think that the first important thing to do, and I've done this before, is, to have self-esteem, you have to do esteemable acts.
Yeah.
And so what does that mean? And I think that, you've chronicled your journey of helping others and, working your program and being, sorry. You're very opposite.
I work my conscious reprogramming. Yes.
Okay. Working your conscious reprogramming and being supportive to others in your communities. And I'm kind of trying to help people. I try to help people when I can, and do what I can, and try to be, the person that can do that, and being kind to people, and trying to bring positivity to the world, I think is what makes yourself a positive and attractive person, and attracting your tribe. And so if not everyone wants to be a part of that club, not everybody, a lot of people want to be on the negative train. A lot of people want to be on the sit around and mope, or people want to be on the non-creative, or people want to tear you down because that's how they get their self-esteem. And I think we see a lot of that. I don't look to others to compare myself to what I'm doing. I try, and nobody's perfect, to do what I think is right and what's going to do and help people in that moment, while balancing the million other things that I have going on in my head at a time, and the things that I'm trying to do for myself and things like that. So one no you get, or many no's you get, if you can just know that what you're doing is right for you. And if you're listening to the show, it's possible that you're dealing with self-worth, or you're trying to, be a better, or be inspired. Then you work your program, you do those esteemable acts, and you get involved, you form a community, you volunteer. Then you're going to feel pretty good about yourself. And I think at that point, you're going to attract people and have an aura around you. And that is what confidence is. And so confidence is a word that's very hard to describe. And, we've been said, hey, you just got to be confident. Well, what the hell does that mean? That doesn't mean anything.
I never liked that one, but I now am more confident, but I also think I had to learn how to be authentic, and then to be confident about who I am as an authentic person.
Mm-hmm.
So authenticity is the key word for me. And what that means is you got to be yourself in every situation, and then you're confident that you're yourself. You just have to learn who you are and then be that person,
Yeah. And it's interesting. And I say that with the idea that I'm not preaching this to a bunch of a-holes who are like, look, if you're an a-hole, I don't want you doing that. Like, don't be that in the world. If you're on the positivity train,
Yeah.
that's going to be good, right? So it's like, are you a net positive or a net? Like, I think that there needs to be analysis. I'm assuming that people are good and you're trying to have to be a better person, and you've worked through whatever it is you're working for to try to bring positivity to the world.
Yeah.
And with that, that's when I think you can feel fairly confident, and that's when I think you can attract and stop being rejected. But rejection is a symptom of living, of attaining goals, of attaining dreams. And there's not one human being that's never felt rejection. It's a very human thing. So to deal with that in your head, it's remembering that everyone feels those feelings. It's not necessarily personal, and trying to learn from that, and as much as you can, right? So let's just say if it was a sales pitch, okay, what didn't feel right, and could I do that differently? What are the person's needs that are in front of me that I'm not meeting to get that rejection? And if it's me back in the day hitting on a woman, that could be a million things. Just they're not in the mood. They're not wanting to.
Let me add in while I still remember.
Yeah, sorry, I was going on a rant there.
Three different ways that I can think of off the top of my head to reframe rejection into a positive. Is that one of them would be you get information.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody doesn't like you get that information. That's or somebody doesn't want your product. You see what kind of person doesn't want your product. You get enough no's. If your product is good or not, whatever. But anyways, also rejection can be a learning lesson. So like you were just saying, which is, what do I need to improve? So you sit there and so you analyze what you can do better. So it can be a learning lesson, and then the other one is just staying away from things you don't want. I think I had another one, but like you could. Point is that you could reframe a rejection in a positive way. You can go your whole life and just you're getting closer to your goal every rejection that you get. Some self-help guys say that. Some invent like Thomas Edison or something like that.
Yeah, and a lot of it's kind of a joke about like going to art school, because like when you put your art up there to be critiqued, like it's brutal. Like I went to art school for a relatively short period, and then I've gone to classes and done things like that. And then in my profession, of theme park design, things are just constantly being critiqued, and you could see that as a form of rejection. Now, there's a difference between a commercial artist and being a more of a personal artist. Like, I don't necessarily do personal art; I do more professional creativity, and they know there's a bit of a different line there. But you have to be willing to evolve and to take that criticism, that feedback, to adjust
in the professional aspect of art. Because like I would say about art, like for an artist, a true artist, you can put your art out there and nobody has to like it as long as you like it,
Yeah, and I would
make money off of it, or like all it is just making something. That's all art has to be.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because because when I think of art and creativity, my brain usually goes to writing, and I think that peer review of writing is a positive thing, even if it's just you're writing it and to make it better and to improve on your writing.
Right.
But like when you're talking about music and song and art and more, traditional artwork, I have no, that's not my expertise. I don't know. I mean, I presume you keep practicing, 10,000 hours and practicing your craft.
Well, and art is, to me, because I don't come from the professional world as much, art is an expression of how you're feeling in that moment. So, if I'm telling a story, even about my life, that's art. I also go deep on the art subject. I think all life is art. Everything we do is art, and all art is expression, and all of our life is expression. But like as far as what I do, I consider this art. I consider little raps I make art. I consider little videos I make art. Like it's just an expression. So that's an interesting conversation to have. But like as far as it relates to rejection, is if I'm just expressing myself, you put yourself out there to be judged. That's but sometimes we just keep our art to ourselves because we know other people won't like it.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Actually,
there's a lot of reasons.
Rephrase that. Some things we just keep personal because we don't want to. They say it's a good thing to make something just for yourself and just be happy that you expressed yourself, like a journal entry or something, and not have to put it out into the world for validation.
Right.
So as far as the topic of expression, but now we're getting into professionally. Yes, there's going to be, even for a song, people like to hear a verse and a chorus and certain frequencies and certain beats. And so you want to make your music to be liked by the most amount of people or be heard by the most amount of people. So there's structures in writing and in songwriting and in music and in drawings. But I mean, it goes into, like, if you go to a art gallery, you go to it, yes, if we go to an art gallery, some of that art there is like, why is this art?
Right. Well, and I mean, it's putting your art out there, putting your creative product, putting anything out there.
That's why it is art, is because it's challenging. It's challenging what you think art is.
Yeah, I mean, you can get pretty heady in there and trying to get into all that. But I mean, what I will say is, maybe some of my closing thoughts about rejection and it being a positive thing, if that's cool with you, Brandon, is very key top line things. Go back into the catalog and watch all these shows. They're great. Listen in on your podcast. There's been a lot of great discussions about it. They're all kind of tying together here and there, and the topics kind of go back to, how I really do think it's the spotlight issue syndrome. I think it's the spot. I forget what they're called. Everyone thinks that everyone's thinking about them nonstop, but really nobody's thinking about anybody at all. When you really think about it, and there's no conspiracy against you. And so once you realize that, I think it takes a lot of the pressure of rejection and the personality and all these things. I'm not sure what that was referring to, but it takes, I don't know how long you think these sorry.
I can just put that up whenever we say anything.
Yeah, just keep that in there. Ainsley, whatever you're referring to, we have no clue. Or I don't know.
We'd like to know, please.
We want to know. You just text us. Is that separating that, realizing that not everyone's thinking about you nonstop all the time, and it's okay. And if you feel that feeling of rejection, it's perfectly normal. And rejection is a symptom of success. It is how you're going to refine and become, get to that yes. And getting to that yes feels really good. And it makes all those rejections that you've had in the past, like not even thinking about it. You know what I mean? No matter what that topic is, like, for example, we pitched for Gift Apply to several nonprofits to partner with. And, we got a lot of no's from people that, didn't want to work with a startup or whatever it was, or the XYZ. And I mean, I don't remember their names anymore, but I focus on the positives of the ones that we have. So there's going to be positive in the future with it. And, we're all charting a course forward, and rejection is a very rejection's a part of life, Brandon, and I felt rejection, and I feel it all the time, but it doesn't make us who we are, And I could say all these things and say, no, I don't know about rejection, and then I feel it. I feel that everyone feels it here and
that's why, because I went this whole time without talking about self-love. Is that, or we need to just love ourselves, because that rejection, we're rejecting ourselves. But if we love ourselves, we just don't feel that rejection as much.
Yeah. Well, and I think it. I think what it comes down to, my friend, is everything is going to be fine, fine, fine. To quote Alanis Morissette.
Because you got one hand in your pocket.
And
the other one
just throwing a peace sign. Yeah, doing a podcast. Brandon, I can't wait to be back on the show next week. I know we have a lot of topics we're going to be covering in the coming weeks. Congratulations on all your success.
We're going to talk about the desire to inspire, the how and the why of it. We're going to get into, and we'll even do Disney's best bangers here coming up.
Oh, great. I can't wait to record that. That's going to be a great show. Brandon, and I appreciate you doing these burpees with me every day. It's very inspiring.
You've been knocking. Really been killing these burpees. So dealing with week. Patrick, thank you for joining us. We'll let you go. Have a good day, my friend.
Thank you.